Hi there, welcome to Floating Books. Today I want to share with you my spring TBR. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. I have a bit of a spring, pre-summer sort of TBR that I threw together of books that are like floating around my brain of things that I would like to get to in the next couple of months. One of the books is something that I'm going to be starting, I hope, this weekend, because I would like to very much finish that before I travel in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm like, you know what? I just have a couple of books that I really want to get to soon, and I thought I could share. I'm calling it a spring TBR, but we all know I don't really do TBRs, and this TBR is definitely not going to be set in stone, and I'm very well aware that it's already the end of April, and spring has been on its way for about a month now. But, you know, we're still having spring until June, so I think this is a decent amount of books to get to in the next 2 months. And then hopefully before summer, or before my summer vacation, I will probably be sharing with you what I would like to read for summer. Let's start with the book that I want to start next. I just finished a book the other day, and I decided to start reading this. This is The Artist by Lucy Steeds. I picked this up when I was at Waterstones in London last November. And you can see my little tab is here because I want to get it started. I believe this is about a reclusive artist in France who has a huge breakthrough, and everybody thinks they're a man, but it's actually a woman, and it's about this woman artist entering like this society who all of a sudden is appreciative of their art. I believe it's set in like the 1930s, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of bought it because of the sleeve. It was the debut fiction prize winner, and I think it said here in the blurb, it was longlisted for the Women's Prize of Fiction, so loads of accolades that came this author's way in 2025, and it made me very, very curious. They had a huge tag by the door, and the cover just really grabbed me. So it's a short book. It's under 300 pages. It's sort of like set in like the 1920s, 1930s France. It's giving like modern artist movement, but at the same time this like introverted person who doesn't really know how to communicate with people. So that kind of spoke to me as something that I might want to read. So this book, that's all I know about the book. Whenever I go into books, I try to go into them quite blindly. I don't look them up on Goodreads to see like what are the reviews saying. I kind of just read it first, and then when I've read it, I start looking at some of the top reviews to see like whether they're on the same page. And sometimes everybody loves a book and then I dislike it, but very often I feel that the comments that I have for the book are also the things that I can find on Goodreads. So overall, I feel that, you know, this is just something that's worked for me for a while now, and I think it's going to be the way to move forward. Then we're going to get to the other books. The other 5 books I have on the list are things that I've decided I want to read a little bit more recently, but some of these things have been on my like to be read list for a while now. But now that I'm actually like reading good chunks, like I'm not reading as consistently as I'd like to, I'm not gonna lie, but we're getting there. You know, the reading thing is definitely a little bit more going a lot better than it has been for a few years. So I'm really happy with that. I would like to get to the second book in the Blackwater series. This is a series of novellas set around this town in southern Georgia, I believe, and we follow this family through the decades. It starts around like the 1910s, 1920s, and then this book I think picks up in like the 1920s, 1930s, and we get like about a decade's worth of happenings with this family in every single book. This is by Michael McDowell, and this is categorized as Southern Gothic because there is this like paranormal element to it. The first book, the flood, starts when the town has flooded, and they find a woman in the hotel, and nobody knows where she comes from. She has a bit of a shady backstory, but nobody is really looking into it too much. And it's very easily, like very early on, it's already clear to the reader that this woman isn't exactly who she says she is. And I can't wait to see how she sort of like interferes with this family's life even more so. This is the levee. One of the decisions that's made in the first book by the town to prevent any more floods is to have a levee. And so this book is probably about like the politics surrounding that. And I can't wait to read this one. The first book was pretty quick-paced and easy to read, so I'm thinking this one will be too. The POV on this, though, does make it a little bit more challenging to read. Like, this isn't like you're like compared to books that a lot of people hype up online nowadays. I mean, this was written in the 80s, so it's not something very current day, but they did come out with these new editions, I think about a year or two ago. I started seeing these because this is a book that I had been recommended I read based on a video I did a while back, I think about a decade ago. I posted a video on my main channel all about Gothic fiction, and a lot of people were recommending I read this, but I couldn't find it anywhere, and then all of a sudden it started popping up, so... I bought all 6 books, and it is my aim to read this series this year and just sort of like every month or two to read one of these. Then another book that is definitely on my TBR, I actually put this one on my little tab in my journal, and it's V.E. Schwab's Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I keep forgetting I have this. And I keep thinking to myself, oh, I want to read this, and then I just don't. I believe the only thing I know about this is that this supposedly has vampires in. It's V.E. Schwab. I love the Darker Shades of Magic trilogy. That's one of my favorite fantasy stories of all time. But I pretty much put this on my TBR blindly because it's V.E. Schwab. I've read quite a few of her other books. The Darker Shades of Magic trilogy is one of my favorites. It's the thing that really got me into fantasy. So for me, V.E. Schwab is just something that I can go back to, and I usually love it. I also loved some of her other works, like Vicious, and I've read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, that I liked as well. So there's always this like magical, weird element to her books that I enjoy, even if it's not full-on fantasy. But yeah, all I know about this is something to do with vampires. She's chunky though, so this is not something that I think I'm going to be reading very quickly, but it does have pages like this, where there's hardly anything on the page. So, but it is over 500 pages, so we'll see how we get to that. But I would like to get to it soon. I read quite a few shorter books in March, like a lot of books around 300 to 250 pages, which means you can go through things really quickly. You can read a lot of books, but if it means I'm staying away from bigger, chunkier things, because I have just found for myself that books that are like around 500 pages, for some reason, that's the length of most of my favorite books. Like somewhere between 400 and 600 pages of a book. Those are the ones I tend to enjoy the most. So I just finished reading a book and I was like, oh yeah, this has been one of the best books I've read in a long time. So it wasn't a 5-star read because it had its flaws, but I really, really enjoyed it. I was like, yeah, well, maybe I should like read fewer books as in number of books, but read bigger ones, because those tend to be the ones I enjoy more. I don't know. This has been on my TBR for a while. I remember buying this when it was released, when I was in Edinburgh. I think that's where I bought it. So this was also, like, it's linked to a trip, and I just haven't gotten around to it. Sally Rooney is another one of those authors where I've read everything else that she's written, and I've enjoyed all of those books. So I wanted to get stuck into Intermezzo, and I just haven't yet. So this is another reminder to myself to read it. Maybe I should just have to keep this little stack of books somewhere where I can easily see it, so I don't go into my bookcases when I need to read a new book, but I actually pick one of these, because that's usually my issue. Because this one is sort of like hidden underneath the shelf, and that's why I keep forgetting about it. Same thing with this, but I just need to get around to it, you know? And then 2 books that I kind of clocked them already in the past that I would like to read them, but I don't think I actually put them on my TBR to be reading them this year, are The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell and The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This is a fantasy series I've been meaning to get to for years. I have had this copy of this book sitting on a shelf for, I think, 8 years or something crazy like that. When I first really got into fantasy, I started looking into fantasy series that I thought I might enjoy, and I bought actually, not the entire series yet, but I only bought the first book in the series so I could test it out and trial it to see if I liked it. But then there were so many other series where I did have the entire book series already sitting on a shelf, and then I started to prioritize those, and I'm like, maybe this year I need to get to some of these one-offs and decide if I want to read the full series. Now, I have heard people say that this first series is already good, but the best one is the second series, because apparently this is like this is a huge series. It's like 3 books every series, and they like continue on to each other, and then there's this whole universe that you can get stuck into. And I think that's one of the reasons why I haven't started it, because it just feels so overwhelming to be reading so many of those books. But yeah, this is just going to be a multi-year project where maybe I read a trilogy every year for the next couple of years. I think that's going to be the way forward. But yeah, I do think I want to get something like truly fantasy in again. And I've heard great things about this Robin Hobb series. And I'm just going to start with the first one and then keep going. That's the plan. And this is one that I see cropping up on so many people's gothic fiction lists, and I'm just really curious. I bought this book again years ago when I was looking for some more gothic-y horror kind of reads, and I just have never gotten around to this. I tend to, because the things I've bought more recently are a little bit more top of mind, and then I want to get to those, and then if it's a book I haven't been able to get to yet, it kind of gets slid to the back burner a little bit. And that's one of the reasons what I just said about this book that I've read recently. It's by Stuart Turton, and it's The Devil in the Dark Water. Another book that had been sitting on my shelf for years, and now I've read it. I'm like, that's such a good book. So also the books that are a little older on my shelves deserve the love, and this is one that I would like to read. It's got a really pretty cover too. All I know about this is this is a little bit like Jane Eyre, Rebecca-ish, where this, like, I think she's, like, you know, it's a young woman who comes to live in this big house, and there's something mysterious going on, and she doesn't really know what it is that's going on, but she finds something that she calls a silent companion, which is like a puppet that looks like her. So, yeah, and this is blurbed by Susan Hill, the author of The Woman in Black, which is like one of those big ghost stories that a lot of people always talk about as well. So I was like, I think I might like this. So if I want something a little spookier, I can go to this. This is a little bit darker than some of the other things. Blackwater is a little bit darker. Then there's 2 sort of like lit ficky things and 2 things that are a little bit more fantasy leaning. I think I'm happy with that. So a nice variety here of 6 different books that I would like to get to. Let me know in a comment down below what you are looking to read. I would like to know what you're currently in the midst of as well. Now that it's better weather though, like we're getting into like nicer weather, I find myself sitting outside in the sun a lot after I come home from work, if it's dry and warm enough. And that is just, I bought a new chair for my balcony, and because the previous one that I'd had it for 8 years, it started to fall apart. I like sat down when we first got nice weather at the end of February, early March, and it like fell apart. So I knew that already last year. I gave it a little spruce up last year before like the summer season started, and I was like, this may very well be the final year that I can use this little balcony set that I have. So now I have something new, and it's been super comfortable, and it's such a good reading chair. I do have to keep it covered though, because officially it's not like super weatherproof. So when it's about to rain and stuff, it cannot be too exposed. So there is that. So I have a little like nice little thing to cover it up. But yeah, that's been seeing me get through a lot of reading in the next couple of like the past couple of weeks or so. Like I sit outside, if it's nice weather, I sit outside and I read. It's been lovely. So I hope to be able to do lots more reading in the next couple of weeks. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this video today. Thumbs up if you liked it. Check back next week, because I will be back with a new video very, very soon. Bye!